Alright, my final wrap up for X4 timelines. Now then, one of the questions will more than likely be, should I buy this DLC? And who is the DLC meant for? What is the DLC? So let's cover that first. Timelines is not your atypical DLC. It adds a completely separate mode. And who is it meant for? It's meant for people who want to go over some of the past lore content from previous games. I haven't played any of the previous ones, just X4. So that one didn't really land with me very well, but some other people may enjoy that. It's also meant for people who want more ships in their open universe games. This does allow you the option to get more ships into your game. So if you're looking at the DLC thinking, I want more ships to play with in the open universe, this does that. And it dots some unmanned ships throughout the open universe, and it does inject them into your saved game. Remember, because this is a completely separate mode from the open universe mode. So you do get the ships retroactively in your save game, so you don't have to start a new game for it in or a new open universe game, which is nice. I've verified that personally, which that's a good move right there. And to unlock the ability to build and equip more of the this DLC ships, there are certain ones, I believe there are three that you can build more or research their equipment and build them. Then there are two ships that are single ship only. I'm not sure if you can replace them, and you may have to look to mods to get more than one of each of those ships. And I know there's a lot of mods out there already, enabling the purchase of additional ships from different factions. And I just spotted a mod that lets you get blueprints for the Xenon ships, which are normally not buildable by the player. And there's no way to get the ships buildable. So you may have to rely on mods to do those things, but if you just want to play a modless game, there are ships available for you. You will be able to get the blueprints and build more of them. Those ships being the Cutlass, the Sapporo, and the Odachi, the medium ship. So you get one of each class. There is no XL ship that I know of. So a small, a medium, a large. Cool. So that's very nice. And you can build as many of those as you want. So as many as you can afford to build. The other two ships, the experimental shuttle and the dart racing shuttle, as far as I know, because I have completed and unlocked both of them, and I immediately got one of them blown up, and I could not make another one. I got locked out, and it said I could only have one of those. So, um, hopefully, hopefully, if one of them does get blown up, you will be able to replace them. Because being locked out of replacing one that gets blown up sucks. Especially if something happens like in my game where I immediately got it blown up. I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, next. Uh, this DLC is a way to help support the development of the game. So, or I would imagine they're gonna put the money towards developing that. As we all know, video game developing video games, making more for this one video game, it probably costs a more money than what anybody normally thinks it would. So hopefully that the money from this DLC is funding further ventures. Haha, see what I did there? Into developing this game. So those are the reasons I bought it for. I wanted extra ships. I wanted to support the game or support future patches, updates, and hopefully maybe more DLC in the future. So hopefully they get what they need to continue to do that. I didn't. I was hoping that there would be story content, and to some degree there is. Personally, for me, the story content was um, it wasn't the best story content I think that there ever could have been. I don't think it was the worst. It was just it was okay enough to uh push through the this timeline mode in order to get the ships in the open universe. I think that's probably the best way to say that. On that note, I am going to strongly recommend that if you want to play uh, the timelines mode, you should. I'm going to strongly recommend you should disable mods. Now then, I didn't disable all of my mods. Let's go into mods real quick. There are a few that are left on, like these ones were perfectly fine. This one, I believe, messed up a scenario or two. This mod is fine, ran just fine without it. I hate the dumb look they have with helmets, so but everything else is off. So I know for a fact that if I turn on most of these mods, it will make the scenarios bug out and they won't finish their final objective. So I did turn off most of the mods in order to get the scenarios to finish. And once I did, everything went fine. I went through the whole DLC, even to the point that I got the grandmother achievement. So I think that's the good job you did it start to finish, did everything in timelines that you were supposed to do. There are extra achievements for achieving uh, different milestones in the scenarios, like going above and beyond, scoring really well, doing funny thing, doing different tasks and whatnot that you wouldn't normally think you were supposed to do. You'll have to read the achievements if you want all of them, and then intentionally do these things. Another point to talk about this DLC is what came along before the DLC and during, and that is the updates, patch notes, the 7.0 update for the game, introducing the third person camera on the ship, which is actually really good. I quite like it. There was only one scenario I was having a problem with, and that was in the Paranid racing ship. For whatever reason, flying that ship in on the third person camera felt really, really bad. The ship felt like slippery, really slidey. Like it didn't fly like a ship's supposed to. It felt like it was like soapy. It was like sliding across the bar of soap everywhere it went. Let's see. Now then, the way I think about this DLC, now that I've had time to think about it, I've progressed through the scenarios, is that these aren't necessarily large story content expansions. These are more like tutorials. These are, and you can see there's all 6 graphs, and in each of the descriptions there's a blurb of lore stuff going on behind all of this. So if you're looking for a lot of lore to be told to you by an NPC, that didn't really happen. So I don't really understand the context for some of these if there is lore context. You'll have to go and play the other games or experience the lore in a different way. or just read the dialogue here if you like. But these are more like tutorials. And I want to say they're more like advanced tutorials with minimal hand holding and with leaderboards, as you can see. Now then, right now, as of this video, the leaderboards are, I don't know if compromised is the right word. The leaderboards are a little questionable right now because these are online players who have scored unrealistically high scores and it's really noticeable on the mining ones. Somehow they've managed to modify their game in such a way that they gave their ship probably a whole bunch of cargo capacity, upgraded the engines, and returned with way more than what's normally possible with whatever the objective was to get ore or silicon in, and then it shot their score up to that much. I don't think that if the developers did this mission the way that the mission was intended and tried to min-max it to get the highest score possible, I don't think they could get anywhere near close to the player in number one on their score. So whatever they're using to verify if the game has been modified or not seems to be compromised for now. More than likely, they will revisit and touch up this part of the game. But right now, just uh, take the leaderboards with a grain of salt. Hopefully, that will get reset. I don't know, perhaps maybe semi regularly. Perhaps is a way to deal with it. I'm not sure what would be the best way to handle leaderboards and potentially people cheating in the leaderboards. Although I don't know why you would want to do that anyway. You do not have to rank exceptionally high in every single one of these. You'll notice I've got 1 star on a whole bunch of them in order to unlock the ships. So don't worry about scoring the best of the best or at all. So you do have to get a certain amount of stars in order to unlock usually the final ones. But it's not really that hard. I did everything on the first try, and I wasn't really trying that hard. And I was kind of, well, if you watch my other videos on this, I was kind of being a crybaby about it the whole way through. Let's put it like that. Before I had time to think about it and realize kind of what these were. Um, I brute forced them and did all of them at once. I don't necessarily recommend doing that. I mean, do as much as you can handle, and if that's all of them at once, cool. But if it starts getting really grating and you just kind of hate it, maybe like find something else to do for a little bit and come back to it later. So now I'm going to get into some of the more nittier grittier things. There is an issue that well, I don't know if it's an issue perhaps, but these are some nitpicks. I'm going to go into nitpicks from here on in the video. So hopefully if you were asking the question, should I buy this? It's really up to you. I've stated those opinions at the start of the video. Now for some nitpicks and some things that hopefully can be improved. First off, the global orders screen. When I set global orders in this menu, remember this is a whole separate game mode that you have to load into to play. This is not your open universe. So if I turn these off while I'm in the facility, these orders should carry over to each of these scenarios. And right now they do not. And for some people, I would imagine this is a minor nitpick, and for most people, it'll be fine. Like, you can ignore that. But I'm gonna start up a mission just to show off that they do not carry over right now. Or hopefully to eat my words because they actually did make this change. And I'm just whinging at nothing. I hope that one's the case. Oh, I hope I'm wrong. Oop, that's, take a look real quick. Okay, so as of right now, the changes did not carry over. That's one of the nitpicks I have with this game, or this DLC, I should say. And it gets annoying because I find myself setting those just about every time I start one of these, except especially in missions where I have subordinates or ships that are doing things for me. So hopefully that one will be addressed. There is one issue that came with the 7.0 update, as not necessarily tied to the DLC, that does not seem to be functioning, and that is under the accessibility settings, under the colorblind options. There is a few options that don't seem to be doing what I wish they would do, and they are right here. Resource mineral, resource liquid, resource mineral liquid. What I think this does, and what I would really like this to do, is control the colors on the map screen for these resources. So that way I would like to be able to control those colors. But for some reason, as far as I can tell, as you can see, the resource is still blue and not black, basically turning it off. As I'm dying in this scenario. So that is a minor nitpick, and it's not necessarily tied to the DLC, but it is tied to the 7.0 update, uh, which came nearly hand in hand with the DLC. And with those minor nitpicks in mind, that'll be most of my thoughts and opinions on this mode. Oh, we have to go over tutorials. Oops. Tutorials are going to be part of this as well. The tutorial system did get overhauled compared to the other. I did make a YouTube video on playing through the tutorials. These have been completely overhauled.
Tired of waiting for shuttles? Want to fly wherever you want, whenever you want?
And I think most of these actually are really good. And some of these standout ones that taught me things that I didn't know are the signal leaks.
Tired of waiting for shuttles?
And I believe object scanning. Yep, object scanning.
Want to fly wherever you want, whenever you want?
These ones,
what you need is a pilot's license. And
these ones taught me that, especially the object scanning, taught me that you need to get out of your spaceship and be in your spacesuit to fully scan stations. So I didn't necessarily know that. I went through the whole game, did everything noteworthy and notable to do, all the storyline stuff. I did all the terraforming. I just barely learned in that tutorial that you had to get out of your ship and bump along the station in your spacesuit to fully scan stations. So that was good. So I'm gonna strongly recommend doing the tutorials, all of them. And if you turned off all your mods while doing the DLC, so that way all the missions properly update their objectives correctly, consider doing the tutorials right then as well, because that way none of your mods will adversely affect the objectives in the tutorials. Most of these are, actually all of them are very short and sweet now, and they all kick you back out to this menu. It's not one long tutorial, so pick a, pick one or two, goof off with it for a minute, finish it, uh, step away, do something else, watch a YouTube video, then come back when you're ready and do more. That's a nice part of it. And there was a new game mode. Let's see here. The Wayward Scion was added, looks like for the base game. So if you have no DLC installed. Now then, I've already stated in the best start guide, or my what is the best start video that I made, that actually there is no real best start. These are all just flavors these are like basically flavors of ice cream. They're all still ice cream, they're just different flavors, is a way to think about it. And the Kingdom's End one is if you want to be a Boron, you want your race to be a Boron, or maybe not the Emergence, but the Queen's Herald, you get to be a Boron. Or, you get to be one of the character models that look like pirates for the Tides of Avarice, or you get to look like kind of a slave outfit. Same with the Terrans. You're just changing your looks and mostly your character model. Even the accomplished scientist that gives you 250,000 credits, that amount of money in this game is nearly nothing. And you can get that pretty quickly just by opening one data vault. And I've proven that during my playthrough. So, the Unworthy Entrepreneur is another one that seems like it's a really good start, but in fact, all it gives you is a station with a dock, one small storage, and a production module that needs inputs. And it's going to be very easy for people to get confused and try to make that station profitable, which I don't recommend doing. I recommend just either dismantling part of that station, selling it, or using the materials from that station to boost up a different part of the economy or build something that you actually can make a profit of, like energy cells. Or maybe just not dismantle it all, just leave it and build onto it. Since it already has a dock module pre-built. But most of these uh, starts are going to have access to the player HQ pretty quickly, especially if you have Kingdom's End. So you could also just slap on energy cells onto that one. That will do it for this video. Again, buying this DLC hopefully supports for future developments of the game. Hopefully they add in more content. Um, Hopefully they add in ways to unlock all of the equipment. That would be really cool. Right now the equipment for the ships that you can unlock, you don't get all of it, right? There's one tutorial that has the HEP guns. You have no way to unlock that I know of right now, except for mods. So if you want to fully unlock all of the potential that this DLC has to offer, you are going to be looking at mods. And luckily, modding this game is fairly easy. Um, yeah, that'll do it. That's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.